What's going on, everybody? This is Ultimate iDevice Vids, and in this video we're going to be doing a battery drain test comparing all iPhone generations on iOS 16. And we're going to be sticking to the base model phones from each generation, as including the Pro, Plus, and SE models would just be a little bit too chaotic for this video. First things first, of course, all iPhones are running the latest version of iOS 16 as of recording this video, being 16.1.1. Also, True Tone, Night Shift, and auto brightness are disabled on all of these devices. And also, it's very important to remember that the battery performance of any iPhone can vary significantly depending on the battery health of the battery in the iPhone. As you can see, for this video, we're only using iPhones that are showing at very high battery health to create a fair test environment. Now, it's very important to consider that for the devices that have been out for several years, like the iPhone 8, the iPhone XR, and the iPhone 11, that most of these devices out circulating in the wild do not have batteries that are at or close to 100% capability, because most of these older iPhone models have probably been used consistently for several years. However, in order to include these older models in a battery test fairly, I'm only using iPhones that have batteries that are in very good condition for all models. So chances are, if you've been using one of these older iPhones for several years, or if you go out to eBay or Amazon and buy one used, the battery health is probably not going to be above the 90% mark. So you should view this video as a best case scenario for all of these iPhones, showing how they stack up against each other with batteries that are in good condition across the board for all of them. I set the brightness levels on all these devices as close to the same as I could get. It is particularly difficult to match the brightness of an OLED display to the brightness of an LCD display using the tools that I use, but I did my best to make them as similar as possible. Some of the newer iPhones use the OLED display technology, and some of the older iPhones use the LCD display technology. So rest assured, any minor display brightness differences between these devices is barely noticeable, if noticeable at all. They're all connected to the very same Wi-Fi network, and they're also all connected to the very same cellular network. However, we are going to be connected to Wi-Fi throughout this entire test. But alright, we're going to go ahead and turn off the power strip that these devices are connected to, and we'll remove the power cables, and we're going to kick things off with 1 hour of YouTube video streaming. So we're going to be streaming the very same video, 1080p quality, full screen on all devices for an hour. But checking in after that, as you can see, a steady progression down the line in terms of the percentages, the iPhone 14 and iPhone 13 being tied at 97%. Next, we're going to head on over to Safari for 1 hour of web browsing. For the first 30 minutes, we're going to be loading new web pages and scrolling through web pages on apple.com, and for the second 30 minutes, we're going to be loading new web pages and scrolling through web pages on theverge.com. And I just wanted to take a moment to mention that there's always a variety of varying factors that contribute to how your battery life is going to be. Of course, things like what you do on your device, the condition of the battery in your device, the brightness of your screen, any background processes that are running, cell signal strength, and so many more things all play a very big role on how your battery life will be. And of course, I'm controlling as many of these variables as I can to get the most accurate results. As I said earlier, all these devices are connected to the very same Wi-Fi network, and they're also connected to the very same cellular network. And once again, the brightness is set as close to the same as I could get on all these devices. But you should definitely keep in mind that this is a hyper-controlled stress test where we're using these devices in the very same location continuously until they die. And there's a lot of factors that we're just not accommodating for in this video, such as standby time, varying levels of cell signal strength throughout your day, and just a whole host of other real-world factors that we're not able to test for in this video. So you should always keep in mind that, of course, in the real world, factors will vary all over the place. But even in a hyper-controlled test environment like this, there's always going to be random variables that throw each device off a little bit. So rather than interpreting this video as a hyper-detailed percent point by percent point analysis, you should just interpret it as gauging overall battery performance of these devices in comparison to each other on iOS 16, all with batteries that are in very good condition. And checking in after a full hour of web browsing, as you can see, the overall same trends are continuing here with all devices except for the iPhone 8, currently in the 80s. So next up, we're going to head on over to Instagram for 1 hour. For the first 10 minutes, we're going to be looking through stories, and for the remainder of the hour, we'll be scrolling through posts. And checking in after a full hour of Instagram, yet again, the overall same trends seem to be continuing. Next, we're going to head on over to TikTok for 1 hour of scrolling through posts. And checking in after a full hour of scrolling through TikTok posts. As you can see, all devices except for the iPhone 8 are still over the 50% mark. Next up, we're going to head on over to Minecraft for 1 hour of playing the game. And real quick, I just want to show you guys that the render distance setting for all these devices is set to the exact same, being 7 chunks to create a level playing field. But alright, we're just going to go ahead and get into a game here and play for an hour. And since I only have so many fingers, for the first 30 minutes, I'm going to be interacting with the game on the 3 newest devices, while leaving the game just open on the 3 older devices. And for the second 30 minutes, I'm going to do the reverse of that. So I'm going to interact with the game on the 3 older devices and just leave the game open on the 3 newer devices. So that way, all the devices get the same amount of interaction in the application versus just time with the app open. And checking in after a full hour of playing Minecraft, as you can see, just a steady progression down the line of generations, with the iPhone 8 just barely hanging on at 3%. Next up, we're going to head on over to PUBG for 1 hour of playing the game. And also for PUBG here, I just wanted to quickly show you guys that the frame rate and graphics settings are set to the same on all these devices, once again to create a level playing field. But anyways, we're just going to go ahead and play PUBG here for an hour on all devices. And once again, just like I did for Minecraft, because I'm only able to interact with so many devices at one time, for the first 30 minutes, I'm going to be interacting with the 3 newest devices while leaving the game open on the 3 older devices. And for the second 30 minutes, I'm going to interact with the game on the 3 older devices and just leave it open on the 3 newer devices. And 5 hours and 11 minutes into the test, the iPhone 8 is the first device to die. And checking in after a full hour of playing PUBG, as you can see, the iPhone XR is just barely hanging on there at 1%. And for all the other devices, yet again, just that steady progression down the line of generations. And alright, with the first round of the battery test complete, we're going to head back to YouTube for our second scheduled hour of video streaming. We're going to stream the very same video once again at 1080p quality, full screen for another hour. And 6 hours and 10 minutes into the test, the iPhone XR dies, leaving only the 4 newest iPhone generations standing. And after closing out the remainder of our second scheduled hour of YouTube video streaming, we're going to head back to Safari for our second scheduled hour of web browsing. Once again, just like last time, for the first 30 minutes, we're going to be loading new web pages and scrolling through web pages on apple.com. And for the second 30 minutes, we're going to be doing that on theverge.com. And 7 hours and 40 minutes into the test, the iPhone 11 is the next device to die. And checking in after closing out the remainder of that hour of web browsing, the 14 is at 29%, the 13 is at 18%, and the 12 is at 6%. Next up, we're going to head back to Instagram for our second scheduled hour. Once again, for the first 10 minutes, we'll be looking through stories, and for the remainder of the hour, we'll be scrolling through posts. And at 8 hours and 58 minutes into the test, the iPhone 12 dies, leaving the iPhone 13 and iPhone 14 as the last devices left. Checking in after the second scheduled hour of Instagram, the 14 is at 21% and the 13 is at 6%. Next, we're going to head back to TikTok for our second scheduled hour of scrolling through posts, and at 9 hours and 43 minutes into the test, the iPhone 13 dies, leaving the iPhone 14 as the last device left standing. And after closing out the remainder of that hour of TikTok, the iPhone 14 is now at 14%. So we're going to head back to Minecraft for our second scheduled hour of playing the game. And even though there's no other devices left standing, I did design this test to accommodate if there were. So 30 minutes into the second hour of playing Minecraft, I'm going to stop interacting with the iPhone 14, just to keep our test protocols here as even as possible. And checking in after that, the iPhone 14 is just barely hanging on at 1%. So we're going to head on over to PUBG for our second scheduled hour of playing the game. And just moments later, at 11 hours and 9 minutes into the test, the iPhone 14 dies. And there you have it for the final results. And I just want to reiterate what I said earlier. You should always keep in mind that the battery performance of an iPhone can vary significantly depending on the battery health of the battery in the iPhone. So for some of these older models, just keep in mind that most of them circulating out in the wild, if I were to test those, they would not do as well as these did, because again, in this video, we're using iPhones that all have very high battery health. And of course, you should always keep in mind that in these tests, there's always going to be random variables that can throw things off a little bit. For example, I did a test very similar to this on the iPhone 13 a little while back, where in that test, it performed almost as good as the iPhone 14 did in this video. As even though I do my best to make these tests as even as possible, there can be variations and unpredictable variables that throw things off a bit, so you should keep that in mind. But alright everybody, that just about about wraps it up for this video. If you're using any of these devices, let me know down below in the comments section how the battery performance has been for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.